Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. You know what it is. All right, you guys. Peep game. This your boy, Tail Biz. All right, so check this out. So, I was just listening to the Joe Budden's podcast. I was listening to a segment of the Joe Budden's podcast. And they had Joy Taylor on there from FF1. So, they was talking about, in particularly, her dating profile. Now, keep in mind, she said that I think she will date a man starting at age 25 and up because I think she has no interest in dating men in her own age range. Now, I could be misquoting her, but I did hear her briefly talk about it. I think she was on somebody else's podcast. I paid what you call semi-attention to it, but not all the way because I was like, well, this is typical. And then, lo and behold, the subject matter comes up. And they asked her about something in regards to a certain situation, and she does what a lot of women do. She tries to deflect, double talk, or talk around it, or try to talk through it, which means she doesn't want to have a flat-out conversation about it. She wants to try to dismiss it. But in particularly, one particular person came up who's been the subject of conversation for the last year and some change due to the fact that this old ass bitch decided to have a baby by a nigga that's young enough to be her son, Andrea Michelle. A lot of people are looking at her funny. They think that she's a pervert and think that she's a creep. You know, that terminology that's used towards men who just made basically simply a new word, simply, I like that, may just look at a woman and think she's attractive, but then they're labeled a pervert. Don't say nothing to it. Just take a quick glance, and then a woman will film the dude to try to humiliate him and all that kind of stuff. And these are the same women that'll sit up and a year later and say nobody's approaching them, and why can't they find a date? You think you just, and these are the same women that'll say don't approach them, don't talk to them, but then they're making videos, why won't anybody talk to me? Why can't I find a man? And this whole thing has been, I'm not going to say it's been a slippery slope. I'm just going to say it's been a double standard. Now, there were some women that called her out, but she didn't get near the backlash that Shannon Sharpe has gotten. You talk about somebody that had a whole baby. They're saying, okay, you 50-something years old, and Shannon Sharpe, I think, just made 57, so happy belated birthday to Shannon Sharpe, to Uncle Shannon. And yeah, do I think he should have been, even dealing with somebody that young? Absolutely not. But is it legal? Yes. Is it creepy? Kind of weird? Yeah. So my thing, if everybody got an issue with Shannon Sharpe, and another person that they do that to is Leonardo DiCaprio. Because Leonardo DiCaprio, don't seem to date anybody that's, that's under or over the age of 25. He does not date women his own age. So everybody has the people's eyebrow raised at Leonardo DiCaprio, Shannon Sharpe. But then here it is, Andrea Michelle had a whole baby by somebody, basically a nigga that's young enough to be her son, who, by the way, and in fact, she has a son, Jalen Green's age. Whether her son is a grown man, that's kind of weird. Your mama walking around with a baby, getting child support from a nigga that's like young enough to be her son. But a lot of times women, they just, you know what I'm saying? They just always demonstrate double standards and hypocrisy. And they asked Joy Taylor about it. And Joy Taylor, just tried to talk around the situation, refused to give a definitive answer. She just was double talking, trying to talk around it, trying to lightweight change the subject, and then she basically got called out on it. And then she pretty much said, if you listen closely, she was on the Joe Budden's podcast. And she said, you know what? I already know I'm going to get cooked on this. But I guess she called herself, sticking to the girl code. Sticking to the other G code, which is the girl code. Oh, I'm not going to throw another woman under the bus. I'm not going to hold a woman accountable. But these are the same women that are always wagging their finger at men and always talking about be a man, take accountability, own up to it. Well, why can't y'all do the same shit? I've always thought Drea Michelle was a creep, and so is Aisha Howard. Anthony Edwards, much older BM, who intentionally plotted to get pregnant by him so she could get, milk a check out of him. And now they having this uphold, battle about child support and all that. And Anthony Edwards made it very clear he doesn't want to have nothing to do with her or her baby. Then not to mention that Aisha Howard already has a baby by the rapper, Little Baby. And he's like 10 years younger than her. And then Anthony Edwards is 15 years younger than her. So that just goes to show you that she like messing with much younger dudes. Like, you almost 40 years old, but you an old ass bitch that like to screw around with young niggas. Now, me, myself, this is my own personal opinion. You don't have to agree with me. I don't think either way, whether you male or female, I don't think you should date nobody that's probably no more than, to me, 10 years is kind of pushing it. I don't think you should date nobody no older than maybe 8 years. Because depending on the situation, there's always a maturity level. You just never know what you're dealing with. But the fact watching Joy Taylor just try to talk around the situation when they was asking her, do you think that Drea Michelle is a pervert and that she was grooming him? And she just refused to answer the question. Well, you know what, Joy? I'll answer it for you. I think that's weird. I think that's weird that you an old ass 40-year-old bitch that's getting child support once again from a nigga that's barely over the age of 21 that you was screwing around with when he might have been 20 and some change. That's weird. But they never call out the arrogance and the misandry and the entitlement of a woman. Because you either have simps that feel like they should be allowed to do what they want to do, and then you have women that try to make you feel guilty if you want to hold them accountable. They try to say, well, I'm a woman, you supposed to... Nope. That's real. You supposed to be held accountable. Listen, if you a woman that's 28 years old and you screwing around with 12-year-olds at school, you should be condemned the same way you would condemn a man that's 28 years old messing with a 12 or 13-year-old. But they don't do it. And then they say they want equality. They only want equality, which they really don't want equality. They just want a pass. They want to be excused when it pertains to certain things. And that's all it comes down to. But yeah, Joy Taylor, man, the fact that she just refused to answer a simple question. I mean, she just was, I mean, she was literally like just trying to talk around it. And she knew that they had her. She just said, well, I know I'm going to get cooked. She tried to say, well, you know, because she said her dating preference is she like to date men that's like, I think she likes to start at age 25, which to me, that ain't that much of a difference because here's the thing. She's 38. She's 38. And she likes to date, you know, she's 38 and she likes to date men that's, you know, younger than her. But she tried to say that there was a big difference between 23 and 20. Well, I mean, if that's what you believe, I don't believe that. But go ahead, make excuses. You know, try to justify what you're doing. And like I said before, I didn't think that was smart what Shannon Sharp was doing. But Shannon Sharp didn't impregnate nobody. You talk about a person that got pregnant. So that's the difference. A baby came